I met Brian in Palestine, actually, 2 years ago when he was first over there doing his boxing project. And I think he was there doing a similar thing this time. Do we go live now to Brian Partridge? Let's see. Hello, Brian.
Can you hear me, man? Yeah?
I can hear you. Okay. Fantastic to hear from you, and I don't want to keep you too long because I'm aware that you're making an international call in order to get through to us.
No problem at all.
Thank you so much. So, what have you been doing these last few weeks?
Well, I was over in Palestine and just going back to visit because I've been there before, you know, and like yourself.
Well, that's what I was just saying there. I met you in Palestine, in Nablus.
That's correct.
A couple of years ago when you were doing it was a boxing project, right?
Yeah, I was getting involved in a boxing project, but this time I was doing a bit of coaching in Ramallah, and I was also visiting a friend who's trying to set up a gym in Toive, because he's found it very hard to kind of get the space in Ramallah because people aren't interested in that in Ramallah, because Ramallah is kind of a bubble, and people, they don't want to be into boxing or into a good class facility and the property there and the rents and everything. So he kind of resigned himself to kind of putting this gym idea into a village. So I was over visiting him, and there was also kind of people in Ireland like have an affinity with Palestine, so people kind of gave me a few bob, and I went around trying to help people. So I was up in Nablus, and I was down in Aberdeen, I was in Bethlehem. And,
for those who don't know, this is all part of the West Bank, which is the eastern, as you look at the map, enclave of the so-called Palestinian territories that are being encroached upon by settlements every day and
exactly.
house demolitions. Just if you could tell me a little bit about the settlers. Did you?
Yeah, no problem. The last time when we were there, Julian, when you take that main road out of Ramallah to Nablus, there were settlements, but this time there's more, and there's more cabins. There's lots of cabins on every spare hill. Wherever there's not a Palestinian village, they've got cabins on these hills, just waiting for the green light. It's as people call it, it's Netanyahu changing facts on the ground. He's basically putting in as many settlements as he can, and therefore changing the any agreement that's ever reached. He'll, if he has 100 more settlements and he has to take 50% of them out, he's taking 50 out. If he has 300 settlements and he has to take 50% out, he's still, there's only going to be 150, and there's going to be a lot more. So at the moment it seems like they're just taking up every scrap of land that's going at a very rapid rate, much worse than it was 2 years ago, I felt.
And you could notice that just from the landscape.
Just from the landscape, definitely. Between, as you know, like there's a couple of big highways linking the settlements to Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and these along these settlements settlements are being built alongside these roads, and in particular down the centre, it seems. That's what it kind of looks like to me. It's like you're trying to capture that middle ground area and kind of break the West Bank into different, fragment the West Bank, if you like a gasification of the entire West Bank, whereby there will be 3 large urban areas where the Palestinians police themselves, and then the rest will be theirs.
Yeah, I mean that's all it is. It's a land grab.
Huge land grab, yeah.
What about the guys who you were looking after in the summer when I came to see you? The boxers, the Palestinian.
Islam, he's great form. He's doing well. Yeah. He's from Petunia, which is it's at the edge of Zone A. It's right beside Ramallah. I can't tell you how good people. You know yourself, Julian. People over there, they're so kind. Yeah. They welcome you into their house. They'll do anything they can for you. They're just absolutely wonderful people. The other lad, Allah, I went down to see him. He's from Aberdeen. I hadn't been to Abu Dhabi. It's strange because you go to Jerusalem all the time and you look up around the old city and Abu Dhabi is right there. You just can't see it because there's that big wall snaking right through it. Like the people in Abu Dhabi, they're about 20 minutes walk from Al-Aqsa Mosque, but none of them can go there. The wall separates them from it. It's incredible to see the vastness of it, to see how it turns its way through the Palestinian countryside, and it's devastating. It's one big massive prison camp. If you're lucky enough to be a very wealthy Palestinian and you've got your passes, you can go in and out. But most Palestinians, it's intrusive, it's oppressive, and then they have to deal with these crazy settlers, absolutely out of their minds. And then also you have the land grabs, and then you have the soldiers who are young, dumb kids, you know what I mean, and who just have a kind of a Call of Duty kind of frame of mind when they're sent into these areas. They're like shooting people left, right, and centre. It's incredible. There was I met several people who had been shot or had family members shot dead in this year alone. So it's incredible. It's a very Orwellian state of affairs on the West Bank. You feel like you're being watched. There are drones. There's a huge spy network. There also I became quite wary of some internationals travelling in the West Bank because their stories didn't really kind of match. So I've got a funny feeling that a couple of these internationals that are kind of turning up at protests and stuff are actually plants by their secret service and stuff like that. So it's very kind of disturbing. And what's worse is it's absolutely normal for Palestinian people. This is their daily life. They have to deal with this day to day, and they look outside and bar the groups that help them, they don't see people there, countries even willing to kind of stand up for their rights, you know what I mean? And it's
Saudi Arabia are too busy killing other
there you go, playing a great Game of Thrones with other countries, you know what I mean? Palestinians know this, they feel this, you know what I mean? They know that these countries don't really care for them, and it's sad and disappointing that but what do you expect, from Saudi Arabia? You know what I mean? They don't seem to kind of have that kind of empathy. I suppose when you think about Irish people have an empathy for Palestine because we have this kind of similar narrative to them. So we have kind of there's a lot of support there in Ireland, and but it seems to be lacking in other parts. It's just tragic. It's a real tragedy for the Palestinian people because they live in such a beautiful part of the world and it's just been taken off them.
Brian, the last point I want you to cover, just briefly before where there's an international call, is how was it in terms of getting there and people that wish to travel there? I'm presuming you went via Jordan and the King Hussein.
Didn't go by Jordan this time, so it's a bit interesting. I'll tell you exactly what it is. Right, if you are going to go over and you are going to go to the West Bank, have your story well rehearsed.
Okay.
Also, make sure that when you arrive that you have a good backstory. If you have a contact who lives inside or who has Israeli citizenship or something like that, you know what I mean?
The point being, you can be dismissed and turned away simply for appeering to be a Palestinian sympathiser, as they could put it.
Definitely.
And you'll be whacked with a 10-year ban on your passport.
Big time, and it wasn't too bad getting in. Getting out is much harder. It's designed that the whole thing, if you're going through Allenby Bridge, if you're a Palestinian, getting out is horrible. If you're kind of an international person, it's grand at Allenby Bridge. It's not bad.
You just have to pay the fee, from what I remember.
What's that?
You have to pay the exit fee.
You just pay the exit fee and they're happy to see you go there, great. But going through Ben Gurion, it's the first step going through Ben Gurion is a metal
Yeah.
So that they have that metal detector, so that's kind of on their discretion. So there's a guy there and they go through that. Then the next one is there's all these girls that just standing there when you go to put your bag in. There's a load of girls that call you over, they look through your passport, they'll ask you a load of questions, and they're just kind of trying to trip you up. And then you go through there, you go to passport control, and if you've been through Thailandia and or one of those big checkpoints like that, and they swipe your passport, they're going to...
They know you've been in the West Bank, they know,
exactly.
They're going to...
If they know you've been in the West Bank, you're getting detained, and you're going to get questions, you know.
Yeah,
but you go, Palestine is worth going to see, the people are good, and if you're just careful and you're not, you know, don't do anything stupid, like, don't be kind of like getting caught out for doing stupid. Go, help out with the people there, support them, do what you can, and you'll have lots of good memories going back, and you won't mind a nervy getting in or out, just to kind of, you know, because the experiences you'll have there are amazing, and the people you'll meet are amazing.
When's your next one, Brian?
When's the next one? For you? I'd say I'm going to have to leave it well, I tried to pack in too much this 2 weeks, you know. I'll be honest with you, when I got to Nablus this time, I actually, if you don't mind me telling you, I met a young fella, a mutual friend of ours took me up to a young fella who'd been shot, you know, a while back, you know, and the young fella was there, paralysed.
Oh man.
And I had the honour of meeting him and giving him a little bit of support, and he was glad to support, but he told us, like, you know, he'd preferred if they killed him, you know, and he felt he was, life was,
oh dear.
Yeah, exactly, that's how I felt, and I wasn't sleeping too well, and it was just, it got on top of me that day, you know what I mean?
It does take it out of you.
It does, it really does. And what a remarkable young fella. I'm going to try and do something maybe to make his life a little bit better. I want to try and help. You know, Nablus, like, you know, if you're paralysed or in a wheelchair, it's not a good place to live.
That's very true.
But this young fella, like, you know, I mean, he's in other countries, like, you know, if he was in Britain and he was a soldier, they'd be bringing him on second talk shows and talking about, oh, you're an amazing man, Jacob, look what you've done, like, you know, going off for your country and stuff. This young fella, like, was all he did was stand up for his neighbourhood, and some little scumbag decided to put a bullet in his back. You know what I mean? But that's the whole, all over the West Bank.
Yeah, there's a story like that on every street. Really, that's terrible. Look, Brian, I'm just really glad that you made it safely and back safely.
Thanks,
and it really means a lot that for you to come on here and talk about it. I'm going to catch up with you soon anyway.
Definitely, Julie. Get over to Ireland, man. We'll look to see you.
Thank you.
And look, thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it, man. I'll put it up on YouTube and we'll share it around. I mean, it's always nice to talk about these things when it's fresh in the mind. I mean, I can still feel the kind of emotion in your voice. This is a couple of days ago that you got back, right?
Yeah, I just got back yesterday, so
welcome back.
Still fresh in my mind. You know yourself when you get out of there. It stays in you for a long time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, look, really appreciate the call.
Thank you.
Well done. And one day we'll be involved in the same project. Hopefully we'll do some boxing together or something.
Boxing is good for kids, man, you know it.
Definitely. And adults alike.
Yeah, true. Gives them back a bit of dignity.
Absolutely. Barbara, anything to say to Brian Partridge? Okay, Barbara's on the other mic, but we appreciate your call as well.
No worries.
Brian, thanks a lot, my friend.
No problem, buddy.
All the best.
God bless, man. Salam.
Thank you. Welcome, salam. Bye-bye. Yeah, that's Brian making the international call.